Thank you very much. Further debate, the member for Thornhill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I'm very pleased to rise today to speak on Bill 145, an act to proclaim the month of November as Albanian Heritage Month. It was very, very quiet in the room, which for a Thursday before a break is somewhat unusual. Usually people have a lot to talk about and ask each other what they're doing for the Easter weekend or whatever holidays coming up. But people were very quiet. Why? Because the member from York South Western gave such a beautiful speech, and it was so interesting, and we all learned a lot. I know I certainly did. And I actually reached out. I didn't know that much about Albania or the Albanian history, and I reached out to one of my team members up in Vaughan, Mr. Speaker, and his name is Ariel Sahachia. I want to make sure I'm saying his name, and he's here with his mom. We can all say hello, and her name is Durata Sahachia. And I want to really thank Ariel because he helped me and put together a little bit of what I'm going to read to you to start off with today. Albania, which is also known as Shqipëria, I'm sure I'm not saying that right, but I try, which it means the land of the eagles. And Albanians are also known as Shqiptar, or the sons of eagles, and they early on identified with this noble symbol, which became their national symbol and is proudly displayed on their flag, which I recall seeing their flag with the eagle on. It's very distinct. Albania is one of the smallest countries in Europe, and yet it is filled with exceptionally beautiful landscapes. Mountain peaks covered with snow in the summertime, incredible sea cliffs and green plateaus, tall forests, rivers and lakes known for their crystal clear waters and home to an abundance of flora and fauna. The Albanian Riviera harbors the best untouched golden beaches, from the coastal lowlands lapped by the Adriatic Sea to the rugged mountainous coastline of the Ionian Sea, which is an elongation of the Mediterranean. Well, it really sounds like someplace we all want to visit, and I know that I get to travel sometimes to Francophone destinations, so I'm hoping to hear very soon that there's a Francophone community somewhere in Albania. A country located in the Balkan Peninsula, as old as the land itself, through its rich and ancient language, has inherited generation after generation the names of mountains, rivers, heroes, myths, legends, divinities, and traditions. Albanians are a courageous people who have fought throughout the centuries for their existence. The 15th century marked one of the most painful yet glorious chapters in Albanian history. As the Ottoman invading armies were pushing through what was left of the Byzantine Empire and advancing menacingly toward Western Europe, Albanian resistance under the leadership of Skanderbeg, Albania's national hero, halted the invasion and repelled the Ottomans for a quarter of a century. And the member from York South Western mentioned their hero, and you can certainly see why they worshipped him. In the early 20th century, as the Ottoman Empire was falling apart, Albania was once again in peril from being partitioned and wiped off the map of Europe. Brave Albanian patriots from all Albanian regions convened to an all-Albanian assembly and declared the country's independence. Even as independence was declared, Albania's sovereignty and statehood was uncertain, and only after U.S. President Woodrow Wilson interceded on Albania's behalf at the Paris Peace Conference, Albania subsequently received international recognition from the League of Nations. In World War II, Albanians overwhelmingly listed their support on the Allied side, resisted the invasion, and fought to liberate their country against occupying Axis forces. At the conclusion of the war, Albanians emerged victorious with casualties estimated around 28,000. After the war, a communist regime was installed in Albania. The regime successfully mobilized large parts of the population in order to rebuild the country after the war. Hope for a better future prevailed among the youth. The massive mobilization efforts, especially popular among young people, resulted in improvements to infrastructure, health, and education. However, because of political oppression and an inefficient economic model, the system's shortcomings became visible not only in Albania, but in other European countries with similar regimes. After the collapse of communism in Europe, a pluralistic system and free market economy replaced the old one in Albania. Albania became a full member of NATO in 2009, and since 2014, Albania has become an official candidate for accession to the European Union. The character of Albanians is marked by values such as tolerance and hospitality. During World War II, Albanians demonstrated to all that their love of fellow humans was stronger than fear and doubt in murky times. They sheltered and protected all Jews who lived or landed in Albania, despite placing their own families at risk. At the conclusion of the war, the Jewish population in Albania had at least doubled, which means people came from other countries to be protected. And now I'm going to have to look up, Mr. Speaker, if there's any righteous among the nations listed for Albanians. Albania's religious landscape is noted for its tolerance and respect of different faiths. This virtue has been cultivated through hundreds of years and has become an admirable standard of peaceful and respectful coexistence. A great example, as we heard just before, is Mother Teresa, who will be canonized on September 4th. She founded Missionaries of Charity, a Roman Catholic religious congregation which was active in 133 countries, thus making her a citizen of the world and promoter of peace. Her commitment to assist the poorest of the poor, the ailing, the disabled, is a higher model of service to humanity. Former Secretary General of the United Nations, Pérez de Cuellar, has said of her, quote, "She is the United Nations," and, quote, "She is peace in the world." In 1979, she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and she refused the ceremonial banquet to be given in her honor and asked that the prize's funds be given to the poor of India. In 1985, U.S. President Ronald Reagan awarded to her the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He described her as a heroine of our times. Although this award is given traditionally to U.S. citizens, Reagan explained that, quote, "The goodness in some hearts transcends all national boundaries." Her house has been visited in her time by many dignitaries such as Queen Elizabeth, George Herbert Walker Bush, and Princess Diana. When asked once where she hailed from, she responded, "I am Albanian by birth, Indian by citizenship, Catholic nun by faith, and by profession I belong to the world. My country is a small country. It is called Albania." This demonstrates, I think, to all of us the passion that many Canadians have for their country of birth, their cultural heritage, and their religion. And as the new Associate PC Critic of Culture, the new PC Critic of Anti-Racism, the PC Critic for Francophone Affairs, and I also represent Francophone women's issues for all three caucuses, and I'm the liaison for the Jewish community for the PC caucus. I think that there's a little bit of symbolism there why I enjoy going to all the events, the flag raisings, the receptions, meeting all the communities, and learning a few words. There's a limit to how many languages I can cope with. I find that when I learn a new one, I forget some of the words of the other ones that I knew. But I really enjoy meeting people from the different cultures and communities, and I think that I can speak on behalf of all of my colleagues here on all sides of the House when I say how much we enjoy everybody when they come and visit us, and oftentimes there's food involved, and that's not the only reason we go. We really do enjoy learning about all the cultures and all the history and all the traditions, and it's what makes our job fun. So we really salute all of you. Take time out of your busy days to be here with us, to celebrate with us. And I know oftentimes people thank me for being at their reception or their event, but really it's us who wish to thank all of you. So thank you very much for being here today. Well, of course, I think it's very clear that on behalf of the PC caucus, I'm happy to say that we support November, and we've heard why from the previous member who presented her private member's bill, why November should be the Heritage Month for the Albanian community. And I just want to mention to people from the Albanian community here that we have quite a few months that we're celebrating different communities, and I think it's wonderful. And if we have to start doubling up the months, I think we're all prepared to do that, Mr. Speaker. May is the Jewish Heritage Month, and that private member's bill was put forward by my former colleague for Thornhill, as well as the present member for Eglinton Lawrence and the present member for Parkdale Hyde Park, who's here. The member for Davenport just presented not that long ago, this past year, for Spanish Heritage Month. We have had a presentation for Ukrainian Heritage Month. June is Italian Heritage Month. April is the Sikh Heritage Month. And just today, we are welcoming people from the Greek community for the Greek flag raising. I'm not aware of a Greek Heritage Month. There's a little bit of a hint going on there. So how do the kids learn to remember the traditions and the language and the values and even the food in their community? Well, the families do their best to teach, but it certainly does help when there's a school in a community with a certain ethnic group. It helps if there's afternoon programs. The churches, the synagogues, the temples host programs to teach the kids. It's nice when the kids can come down and join their families at Queen's Park, but also mostly we see children at all the cultural centers, all the banquet halls. Until I got elected, Mr. Speaker, I wasn't aware how many banquet halls there were across the GTA. And every week it seems like there's another one that you have to get on your GPS, and I often say to myself, I'm sure as the other members do, am I dressed right for the event? What color should I be wearing for this community? So in your invitations to us, feel free to say, we like it when it's red for Chinese New Year. We really want to be part of your community, and we really relish the special scarves we're given sometimes, or things to wear to fit in, and we love the pictures that we're given, and oftentimes the communities will email us those pictures. And just to let the community members know today that those pictures get put on our websites, they get put in our mailings, our newsletters, they get put on Facebook and Twitter and all over social media. So we really enjoy celebrating with all of you, and I want to congratulate the member again for her presentation today, and I want to thank all of you for coming down and celebrating with us. Thank you.